Hey everyone, welcome back. In this video, I am going to walk you through how pod disruption budget works internally. Most engineers get this wrong, and I have seen this take down production systems during routine node upgrades. One missing budget policy here, and your entire cluster's availability can drop to zero the moment your cloud provider starts a rolling node update. Understanding PDBs is the difference between a seamless cluster operation and an unplanned midnight outage. Let us look at how you can guarantee uptime. Specifically, we will cover the pain points of unmanaged pod evictions, the core definition and physical analogy of PDBs, the internal mechanics of the Eviction API and the budget controller, how to correctly configure availability policies, common pitfalls you must avoid, and the real-world impact on your service uptime. These are the topics we are going to cover, so do not skip ahead. Watch all the way through to actually understand this properly. Quick note before we dive in, this channel shares practical IT tutorials every week. So if that is useful to you, hit subscribe and join our WhatsApp community linked in the description for more resources. So, why do services crash during maintenance? In Kubernetes, a node drain is a voluntary disruption, meaning it is an intentional administrative action. Without a budget, the cluster will happily evict all pods from a node simultaneously. If those pods represent your entire service capacity, you have just triggered a total service outage. This happens because the cluster's internal scheduler prioritizes node availability over your specific application level quorum needs. If you do not explicitly define a budget, the system assumes it is safe to kill every pod it finds. So, what is a pod disruption budget really? It is an API object that provides a way to limit the number of pods of a replicated application that are down simultaneously due to voluntary disruptions. Think of it like the seatbelt mechanism on a roller coaster. It does not stop the ride from moving, but it enforces a hard safety limit that prevents you from being thrown out of your seat during a sudden stop or a sharp turn. It is your way of telling the Kubernetes API, I understand you need to move things around, but you must keep at least this many pods running, so my service remains functional. Before we start, ensure you had these prerequisites. You need a running Kubernetes cluster version 1.25 or newer is recommended for full PDB support. You must have command line access with cluster admin or namespace, admin privileges to apply policies. You should have an existing deployment with at least 2 replicas to test the budget against. Verify your environment by running kubectl get nodes and kubectl get pods. Finally, make sure you have your terminal ready to apply YAML manifest, as we will be working with standard Kubernetes API objects. How does this work internally? When you trigger a node drain, the process begins at the Eviction API. The API does not just kill the pod, it first checks the PDB controller. The controller evaluates your manifest constraints against the current state of your replica set. If the eviction would violate your budget, the controller rejects the request, effectively blocking the drain until other pods are ready to take the load. Let us create a production-grade budget for our payments. API. We use the policy API group. The minAvailable field is set to 1, which tells the cluster that even during a drain, at least one instance must remain running. The selector matches our label, ensuring the controller knows exactly which pods are protected by this specific budget. To apply this, we use the standard apply command. Once applied, the PDB controller immediately begins tracking the pods that match our selector. You can verify the status by getting the PDB object. The output shows the allowed disruptions count. In this case, we have 1 allowed disruption because we have 2 replicas and a minAvailable of 1. This means the system knows it can safely terminate 1 pod without breaking our availability requirement. So, what is the difference between minAvailable and maxUnavailable? MinAvailable is your best choice when you have a hard-fixed quorum requirement, such as a consensus-based database cluster. It guarantees a specific number of pods stay active. maxUnavailable is usually better for web services where you want to ensure a specific percentage of capacity is always present. For example, if you have 10 replicas and you want to maintain at least 80% throughput, you set maxUnavailable to 20%, allowing the system to drain at most 2 pods at once. A common mistake is the zero-replica trap. If you set your minAvailable to 2, but your deployment only has 1 replica running, the eviction will be blocked indefinitely. The drain process will hang because the budget can never be satisfied, effectively preventing node maintenance on that machine forever. The fix is to either lower your minAvailable to 0 if you are in a test environment, or better yet, scale your deployment replicas to 3 so you can support a minAvailable count of 2. Never set your budget requirements higher than your actual replica count. Let us look at a real-world scenario. An online retailer serving 5 million daily active users faced recurring issues during peak sales events when their cloud nodes were auto-scaled or patched by the infrastructure team. By implementing a maxUnavailable policy of 10% on their core checkout service, they reduced checkout failures by 98% during maintenance windows. This allowed their automated CI or CD pipelines to trigger node drains without human intervention because the PDB safely governed the eviction process. When should you use this? Use PDBs for all stateful sets that require quorum to function, and use them for any critical web service that cannot tolerate even a brief zero downtime outage. Do not use PDBs for batch jobs or non-critical background tasks as they are not needed there, and strictly avoid using PDBs if you do not have multiple replicas, because you will only succeed in blocking all of your own maintenance drains. Specifically, that includes use PDBs for critical web services that cannot tolerate zero downtime outages. Who benefits from this? Site reliability engineers can finally automate node patching without fearing outages. Backend developers gain the confidence to guarantee service uptime without manual oversight. Team leads will see a reduction in incident management and firefighting during off hours. Finally, operations teams can deploy cluster upgrades safely at any time of the day, confident that the budget controller has their back. To recap, pod disruption budgets protect your service capacity during voluntary node drains. You must always ensure your minAvailable budget is lower than your total replica count to avoid blocking your own cluster maintenance. Use maxUnavailable for web services to maintain a consistent percentage of performance. Remember that PDBs only protect against voluntary disruptions, not sudden node failures or infrastructure crashes. Finally, monitor your allowed disruption count in your dashboard to ensure your budget is not too strict for your current scaling needs. If this video helped you, hit like and subscribe. It genuinely helps the channel grow. Join our WhatsApp community linked in the description for more practical IT resources every week. Thanks for watching. This channel is dedicated to providing knowledgeable content for IT professionals, building their skills in Linux, cloud, DevOps, Python, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. Subscribe to stay updated, and I will see you in the next one.